great benefit to being a realtor, and it's definitely improved the service that my clients receive since I became a realtor about 10 years ago. Prior to that, I did commercial real estate, so it's a totally different type of business, a different business model. Right now, I do residential and commercial real estate, mostly residential, and I split my business between Rhode Island and Massachusetts. And my team and I, we work with buyers and sellers. Right now, as is in keeping with the industry norm, there are more buyers than sellers. And so that means inventory is tight. And that makes it a little bit challenging sometimes to find the home that you're looking for that's in your price range. And sometimes even when you do that, you can be not necessarily outbid, but another offer can be accepted over yours for a couple of different reasons that we'll get into a little bit later. But if you're thinking about selling, not today, but even if it's a month, 2 months, 6 months, or a year down the road, you really need to pay attention and start begin that process now, because you need to do things. You need to cull out all of the stuff around the house that you may not use all of the time, that could be construed or taken as clutter by prospective buyers. And that's what I'm doing right now. We're preparing our house. We're going to be, we hope to sell and move next year. So we're in the process of different things, parts of the house, the garage, eventually it'll be the attic, and getting rid of things that we don't need to, so the house won't look as cluttered when it is on the market. And all of us tend to collect things the longer we live someplace. So when you need to move, it becomes a little bit more of a challenge. So that's why you need to prepare ahead of time. Okay. So as I said, this is a show for the consumer. So we discuss all things that have to do with real estate, legal issues regarding real estate, financing for real estate, and political issues that may impact real estate. We also discuss commercial real estate, but in a much more limited capacity, because my goal is to educate you and make you an informed consumer. Okay, it's not a big mystery buying a home, but it's important that you know what's going on, because it is the largest financial transaction of your life, whether you're buying or selling. So you should not have any question entering into the transaction or while you're going through the transaction. And certainly you don't want to have questions after you've completed a transaction. Right? So these are some of the things that we talk about. And as I mentioned earlier, right now we have a lot of buyers and not many sellers. Okay, and one of the things that we're, one of the trends that we're noticing is that inventory and the days on market, okay, the length of time that a house is on the market is getting shorter and shorter, right? Right now, the average in Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts is 55 days is the average time that it is for a house to be on the market from when it goes on the market to when it sells, right? Nationwide, that's about 60. So we're a little bit tighter in southeastern New England than it is in most of the other parts of the country. And excuse me, prices have been going up. All right, depending on what segment of the market, in excess of 6%, 6.3, 6.7%, depending on where and what type of housing you're looking at, year over year increases. So that's a healthy clip. All right, it's not unsustainable. They're forecasting that there is going to be continued growth, tightening, and therefore appreciation of house values going forward into next year, even with the presumed increases in interest rates. But interest rates are still at historic lows. Okay, I've talked about this before. The average rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage has been 8%. Okay, that's the average, the historical average. Today, you can still get a mortgage, a 30-year fixed rate mortgage that is below 4%. Okay, So, you know, think about that. We just talked about how prices are increasing. Okay, they've gone up about 6.7% nationwide year over year. They're forecast to continue to go up another 5% next year. And interest rates are at an all-time low. Okay. What's especially interesting is these interest rates are low, markets are tight, prices are going up, but what hasn't gone up yet, at least it hasn't increased at a similar pace, is wages. Average hourly wages grew just 2.5% in the 12 months ending in July, according to the Labor Department. Okay, so if prices are going up 5 or 6%, wages are only going up 2.5%. There's a little bit of a gap there. So that's why prices aren't getting pushed too high, because people can't afford to pay more, much more for a house. All right. Now, think about that for a minute. We have tight inventory, lots of buyers. That would seem to indicate that it's a seller's market, which is true. But it's also, I've said this before, it's also a buyer's market because rates are still so low. All right. Even if rates go up another 0.5%, we're still going to be at historic lows. All right. So if you are thinking, if you have questions, if you're wondering about whether or not you could buy a house, can I borrow money? Will I be able to get a loan? I got a divorce and my credit was put in the crapper by my ex-spouse, or I was unemployed for a period of time, or I've been underemployed. I used to make a lot more money than I do now, or whatever the situation is. I depleted all of my savings, so I fell behind on some of my bills. There are a lot of different mortgage programs out there that are available to home buyers, especially folks that are first-time home buyers, veterans. Okay, the VA program is an excellent program, and these are great ways for you to become a homeowner, even if you've had some dings, some blemishes on your credit report. All right, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as the show goes on. But the first thing you want to do is you want to give me a call, because even though we have lots of buyers and not a lot of sellers, you need to start the process early. So you can give me a call. My personal cell phone number, and you can also text me, is 401-580-9797. The number at my office is 401-383-6669. That's my direct number. And that's at Remax Preferred. That's where I work. Our office is in North Providence. And we have one of the largest Remax offices in the state. We have about 100 people between the different offices. And give me a call. It doesn't cost anything. I'll answer any questions you have, send you an email with some pointers on things to do to prepare yourself to get ready to buy a home, or to sell a home if you're thinking about selling. The kids are going to be going to college next year. Maybe in 2018-19 we'll put the house on the market. Great. This is a perfect time to start preparing. I'm not going to hound you. I'm not going to, try to list your house today when you're not going to be ready to sell it for another year or year and a half. So again, give me a call. This is Joe Luca. You are listening to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. 401-580-9797. If you have a question that you'd like answered tonight during the show, you can text me. I won't be able to pick up the phone because I'm talking to you on the radio. But if you text me, I will get back to you. I will answer your question on the air, or if it's after the show, I will get back to you after the fact. Okay, but we talked about the different mortgage programs available to first-time buyers, to veterans. You can get special mortgage programs if you're looking in rural areas. There are special programs in certain urban areas via Rhode Island Housing, down payment assistance programs. There's a lot available, so there really is no excuse to give me a call at 401-580-9797 if you're thinking about buying a home, because if you don't have money, we have down payment assistance programs for you. If you had some dings on your credit, we can take care of that. If you're a veteran, we can help you there. So there are a lot of different things that we can do so that you can begin the process to participate in the American dream of home ownership. Because again, it is the American dream because there are very few other countries that have a 30-year fixed rate mortgage available to the consumer. You know, the countries that have large economies do not have high home ownership rates like we do. So if you look at China, if you look at Japan, if you look at Germany, those are the other largest economies. And then beyond that, you look at Great Britain, you look at France, you look at Italy. They have much lower home ownership rates than we do in the United States. And we are still at a 50-year low today compared to where we were before. So it's really advantageous, if you're thinking about it, start the process to participate in the American dream. You live in the United States, the greatest country in the world, and become a homeowner. Because in other countries, you're only going to get a 10-year mortgage. All right. In some countries, it's very difficult because you can't even get a long-term job. You only get a 1-year commitment on a job. You get contracts in some of the European countries like Portugal, Spain, Italy, France. So if you get a commitment, a contract that you can work for a company or a department of the government for 1 year, what bank is going to loan you money for 30 years? Okay. Even 10 years, so it's very difficult. So that's why the rental rate is much higher in those countries. That's why you have families staying together for longer periods of time, where you will have children who are adults, not even young adults, that are still living with their parents even after they get married and have kids, because it's very difficult to get a loan when you're only getting 1-year contracts. Now, perhaps they've been working for the same company or same department for 10 years, but it's only 1 year at a clip. So we don't have that here. Okay? Even though there's no guarantee, generally everybody believes that you get a job as long as you want a job. If you leave that job, you'll get another job and be able to continue to make payments on that mortgage. So that's why one of the reasons why we have a 30-year fixed rate mortgage available. One of the other reasons is because we have the Housing and Urban Development. We have Fannie Mae, we have Ginnie Mae, we have Freddie Mac, USDA, VA. These are all different programs that the government will stand behind to guarantee the loan if a bank will lend you the money. And we've talked about this before. You can buy a home with no money down. That does not increase the probability that a buyer is going to default on their mortgage, because the USDA program and the VA program have always been no money down purchases, and they have foreclosure rates that are historically lower than the general population who's putting down a deposit. If it's 3.5% for an FHA product, or 5 or 10 or even 20%. Okay, the thing that we do today, all of the mortgage programs that are out there, you have to be able to demonstrate as a buyer, a homeowner, a prospective homeowner, that you can repay the loan. So you don't have that no income verification loan like we had in the past. Those are available to certain types of consumers, but not the average consumer, and you need to have exceptionally good credit to qualify for a no income verification loan. Okay. So it is coming up. It's about 20 minutes past the hour. You are listening to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. I'm Joe. We are here at WNRI 95.1 FM, 1380 on the AM dial, and we're right here in Woonsocket in the heart of the Blackstone River Valley. So I would like you to